be a zombified figure. Like he was the mindless thing. He would walk to the ring with nothing behind those eyes, a doll's eyes, black eyes.
I'm excited that Braun is in the Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly Holmes and Watson movie, by the way.
Which reminded me because I went on a weird MacGruber flashback kick this past week, and actually reminded me of when Will Forte and Kristen Wiig were there as their characters from the movie on a Raw, like the whole time.
Oh, yeah!
And MacGruber had to face, like, Vladimir Kozlov.
Oh, my gosh. I completely forgot about that.
Because the opening of MacGruber had all those wrestlers. It had Kane and Jericho and MVP and all that.
Jericho having, like, a much more notable role. Everyone else had a funny cameo, but Jericho had, like, a big scene. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway. That was funny. It was always... They don't do that anymore now. That's a time I miss, an era that I wish would come back in a small way. I just wanted to mention briefly before we get into TakeOver, which is only 4 matches, Eric.
Yeah.
4 matches. Which they're going to be long ones. You know, the WarGames and the 2 out of 3 Falls ones, I assume, are going to be pretty lengthy, which is fine by me. Before Daniel Bryan turned heel in that final match on SmackDown, you know, he and AJ Styles were going at it. They were yelling at each other. There was already animosity. He came out and basically Daniel Bryan was like, I didn't like the fact that you said my name.
Oh, yes.
And AJ
I was going to talk about this with you in the, like, don't mention my kids.
Yeah, my kids. Like, and then he said his name again and he attacked him. He's like, what if but it was so weird because he's like, what if I said the greatest wrestler I ever wrestled was Daniel Bryan? It's like a high compliment.
So what if he was backstage talking to someone else and he's like, oh, we should go to this restaurant when we're passing through Cleveland next time because Daniel Bryan said it was really good. And Daniel Bryan would he just run up and attack him? Just like, don't say my freaking name.
But so they did get into a brawl backstage, and that's when AJ Styles was like, I'm putting my title on the line because Shane McMahon got between them. But so it's like, he's like, all I did was say his name. I just said it. And like Daniel Bryan's yelling on the side, yeah, you're all disrespecting me. You're all right. And I don't know why, Eric, but it reminded me of the scene in Goonies when they're in the attic and Mouth is sticking his tongue through the painting. Yes. And then he ruined the painting. And Mikey got super pissed because he cut a hole in the painting. And he's like, you're ruining the painting, this priceless painting. And he's like, you're ruining my joke.
Yes. Classic movie moment, yes.
I don't know why it reminded me of that, because it's just like, obviously, I guess it's because Mouth is obviously in the wrong.
Yes.
But it's like, he immediately found something for him to be mad about.
Right.
He's like, you can't be mad at me. I'm mad at you. I don't know why it made me think of that. Anyway, TakeOver.
Yes.
Shayna Baszler versus Kairi Sane, 2 out of 3 falls.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you got?
I think Shayna. I think, we're going to continue. I can't believe they'll just immediately back off her having her, her 2 buddies with her in some way. I mean, they directly interfered, and that's how Shayna won. Now they've been shown with her backstage on NXT. So I think there'll be a factor, and I think Shayna will retain here.
I do too. I think, in the 2 out of 3 falls stipulation allows Kairi to get that one win. She gets she'll get a pinfall over her. She drops the elbow or something else like that. And it's meant to, give the babyface a clean pin, but not win the title, while the heel can get a win however. She could pull the tights for one fall. She could, maybe there's a DQ for another fall. You know what I mean? Like, they can make it so that Kairi still comes out of that looking strong, which I think was the point of that particular stipulation. Now, Aleister Black versus Johnny Gargano. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine Black not getting, I guess, revenge. Like getting a pinfall win over Gargano.
I'm different in that I think, even though he is seeking revenge, it's still their first match of this.
Do you think it's something that'll keep going? I guess that's the other point. Okay.
I think Johnny's going to win only because this is his first match since, like, a pseudo-turn, and because, it's, like, not a rematch. Yes, it is a revenge match, but, I feel like you know, and yeah, I don't think Tommaso will play a role directly in this, but I don't know. Even though that's still always simmering in the background, yeah, I think Johnny will win this, and this will continue in some form afterwards.
Okay, I'll go Black. You go Johnny. Tommaso versus Velveteen.
Well, it's funny because I think it'll be Tommaso. I mean, we've talked about how Velveteen is just hugely popular, but doesn't win a lot. Although I guess he did win. What was the match where he had the bring me up Vince? I think he did win.
With EC3 he won.
Yeah, but he usually does not win at these pay-per-views. I don't think they're going to put the title on him, especially because Alistair and Gargano are both still so much in the picture of everything happening with Tommaso. So I think it's going to have to be Tommaso.
I agree. Let's see. WarGames, Undisputed Era versus Ricochet, Dunn, and War Raiders. I'll go, because Undisputed Era won last year, I'll go the baby faces this time.
I think so too, mostly because, yeah, if they want to kind of... I mean, one of those people is like, you know, they've got Ricochet in there who's like, you know, kind of a big rising star. Some of these other guys are at different levels, but yeah, I think that... and it won't... Because... You know, a WarGames match is like, you know, it's one of those matches that kind of can just elevate everyone in it, and as it did with Undisputed Era last year, whether they win or lose. So, yeah, I think Undisputed Era can take the loss here, and, yeah, it'll be the other guys winning.
All right, let's flip over to Survivor Series and get right into it. Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey.
Well, I think it's got to be Ronda.
Me too.
I mean, it was going to be Ronda over Becky anyway, and so it would seem even weirder to have it be Charlotte.
And that is a little bit...
If it was...
Yeah.
That was a little bit what?
I was going to say, that is... I mean, that's one of the big bummers about that match being canceled. Even though putting obstacles in front of Becky right now is going to work to her advantage, I believe. She was going to lose this match to Ronda, which I didn't look forward to, but I still think that in losing, she was still going to come out of that match even hotter than before.
Yeah.
You know, in a losing effort, in a valiant, huge... you know, hard-fought losing effort, she was going to come out of that match. Now, though, interestingly enough, she may never have to lose to Ronda because she may be the one who beats Ronda at WrestleMania. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
I will also go Ronda Rousey. Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. I think Brock.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Brock.
So, then we got Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I guess I'll go Nakamura just because they've been... Well, maybe they'll flim-flam me and throw me off. But I'm just going to go with the story they're selling me, which is that Seth's too distracted with Shinsuke, with Dean Ambrose to focus on Shinsuke. And Nakamura hasn't had a win in a while.
Yeah. I'm going to... Everything you're saying feels like it's coming from a good place, but I'm still going to go Seth. Even though I'm like, because I think Seth, if Seth loses, it's going to be a direct, like, Dean will show up, and that's very possible, and interfere or just, you know, stand in the rafters and stare at him with a trash fire.
I was going to say, is he going to bring one into the crowd?
Yeah,
That'd be great.
But I'm going to say Rollins for now. I mean, Shinsuke's been, you know, I know I'm a bigger fan of him than you are, but I don't like that he's been kind of sidelined. But yeah, so I'm just going to say Seth just based on where he's at career-wise, but I do think with the Dean thing, that could play a factor.
I think I'm giving it to Shinsuke because I don't want him to be... I feel like this is a good moment for him not to be sidelined without it being a major win on his own roster, which they don't really want to give him. AOP versus The Bar. I'll go... Man, I'm just going to go... flipping a coin, I'll go Bar.
I'm going to go AOP only because, you know, again, a month ago they were not making the Hulu cut. Suddenly they put the belts on them. And so I just think that, like, maybe just because very quickly they decided to put them in a more elevated position, I'm just going to say, okay, they'll get this win coming out of having just won the titles.
Okay, men's 5-on-5. Team Raw or Team SmackDown, Eric? Do you need a rundown of who's on these? All right.
Nah. I'm going to say... I'm going to say SmackDown just because they've mentioned, Raw's won the last 2 years.
Actually, did they? I feel like SmackDown won in 2016. I'll have to check on this. I feel like they've been lying to us.
Said it. They said
Eric, I know what they say.
But yeah, so if we're talking, I say SmackDown will win.
Okay, and that would be, so I'll say SmackDown as well, even though on paper they shouldn't, because Raw has Lashley, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, while SmackDown's teams are a lot lighter and smaller, and they have Shane McMahon, who's quote unquote a non-wrestler, though he is the best in the world, Eric.
I know.
Okay, so we'll both go SmackDown. Now, women's team.
He won it at the World Cup, which took place at something we're never going to ever mention.
I know, and apparently Shinsuke Nakamura got a win there too, so I have no idea. Let's see the women's, who I'm assuming Nikki Cross will fill in for Charlotte. If not, then Mandy, maybe.
Yeah.
If she's not pulling double duty, if they need, because you can't just pick one iconic, right? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I'll give it to Raw because it's got Nia and Tamina on it, and they're building them up pretty hard.
I'm going to give it the same. They've got Nia and Tamina. They're building the fact that, like, they also have, like, Alexa, who already interfered, even though she can't wrestle right now at Evolution. Presumably the rest of the Riot Squad might be involved. Yeah, so I'm just going to give it to Raw.
Well, also, Natty and Ruby are on the same team, so they might fight. This week on Raw, Ruby Riott came out to the ring, Eric, and she was apologizing. She felt so bad, but then, Eric, she was like, ha ha ha, tricked you.
Right.
That's like, Alexa does that, Carmella does that. That's the women's heel move, to come out and act sincere and then flip it around. I don't like it anymore.
Yeah,
stop doing it, people. Buddy Murphy versus Mustafa Ali. I'm just going to say Mustafa Ali. I think Buddy got his big win in Australia, and it's time to put it on, quote-unquote, the heart of 205 Live.
I will say the same thing with my minimal 205 watching, just because even thinking about the fact that Ali had, like, the Mania match, and it feels like it's his time.
Interesting thing, I don't believe the 10-on-10 tag team traditional Survivor Series elimination match, which is going to be on the kickoff show, did any team get left out of either roster who aren't AOP in the bar?
Not where both members are present.
Right?
It's like,
is New Day a part of it? Yeah, they are, right? Yeah, 10-on-10. Yeah. So the match they had this week literally was just to figure out who the team captains were. Like, it wasn't to figure out what the teams were, just who the captains were, which who knows what they do. But yeah, so anyway, I will just go SmackDown.
I'll go SmackDown too, who just seem to have, like, more of the teams that they actually are more invested in. I mean, it's a minimal thing because they kind of like the women's division. It's like they have a hard time of, like, what to do with anyone who's not in the title picture.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with SmackDown.
Okay, as we close things out here, I'm going to read off a couple emails, and then I'll send you on your merry way, Eric. I wanted to say first from the guy who wrote in last week, who I chastised for not telling us where he was from, Pete. He is actually, I was saying, tell us what city or state you're from. I was way off, Eric, because he's actually from Scotland, where they don't have cities there. They have shires and fjords. No, I don't know what they have over there. They have cities just like us here in, Edinburgh and Glasgow I went to, and they were lovely. Edinburgh is great. And I wish
we both have had great times in Scotland.
I wish I was in Glasgow a few weeks ago because Ladytron was playing there, and I was very sad I couldn't see them because they've been in hibernation for a long time, and I love that band. Pete writes in, hey guys, this time with my location, that's right. He's in Forfar, Scotland. And a few quick items. Do we think the Saudi deal will have any long-term impact on other partnerships WWE could have, like with Mattel? I don't think so.
Not currently. I don't think so either. Again, if because as we've said, it doesn't seem like WWE has a line, or if it is, it's more extreme than, one would expect it to be. But obviously, if more horrific things surfaced and WWE just literally did nothing and, like, just kept doing this partnership, then maybe yes. Then because if it escalated to, like, people calling for sponsors of WWE, but that's a much more extreme situation.
But also, it would have to be a big deal for Mattel, because that's a huge money deal for them.
Sure.
We're just waiting. We don't know what the limit is. We've just landed